morning, everybody. Welcome to AB Florida Gardening. On this channel, we garden in the Zone 9B. I am located in Central Florida, close to the Gulf Coast. It is the end of September, and I think today was the first day where it felt a little bit cooler outside. When I stepped out with my coffee, I just felt like flannels and getting some beautiful fall color into the ground. And if you'd like to come along with me, you're welcome to. The area I want to tackle today is my front garden. You see, it is quite lush. I do use the white rock almost everywhere. And this center circle is the area I think would really benefit from some fall color. I did pull the spring annuals already. Let's go to the nursery and let's see what they have in stock. If you live in the Tampa Bay area, Landmark Nursery in Eastlake is really my go-to place. What I like about them most is the general setup. You drive in and you kind of like in a different world. Plants are everywhere. You hear sound of water features. They have great knowledgeable staff and a very good selection all season long. It's an hour later. I just got back from the nursery and already unloaded and arranged the plants the way I think I like them. In the center, I put the jungle fire, and then in the front, I thought the waffle plants would look really nice. And then obviously, it's fall. You can't pass up some of these beautiful mums that everybody is selling right now. When I buy mums, I generally go with those plants that still have the blooms closed, because that way I know I'm gonna get a nice show later in the season. It's hard to pass by those really nice blooming ones though. Here is the jungle fire, and the red I think just screams fall. In the front, the waffle plant, I think that purple is just really nice fall color. So here are the things I'll be using. Scissors, because the layer underneath the rocks is a weed fabric. Knee pad. Thank you, Laura from Garden Answers. I love using one now. I grabbed a little bit of compost and starter fertilizer. So the first thing I need to do is move the rocks out of the way. These are marble chips. I do use a wheat fabric underneath the marble chip only for the reason that I don't want the soil to intermingle with the chips, because that will make the white rocks just look dirty. So I cut a X into the fabric, and once that's done, I will fold over the ends so that I have a space to remove the soil to make the hole. To keep the white rock as clean as possible, I remove the nursery container and use it as a bucket, and I collect all the soil that I remove for making the hole into the bucket. I think it's just a really nice clean way to dig a hole. I guess I may be a little bit OCD. A little bit of background about the soil I'm working with. Florida generally has sandy soil that doesn't retain nutrients very well, but on top of that, the prior owner actually covered this whole bed with rubber mulch, which is now intermingled with the soil, and I do remove it whenever I have a chance and amend the soil with some compost that I make in my back garden, and obviously some starter fertilizer. Mums should never dry out. So you need to make sure you provide them with good wet soil, not soaking wet. They don't like to stand in water either. They also like nutrition-rich soil, so I'm adding some starter fertilizer, in this case Biotone. It's organic, to the planting hole. I am making sure that the area around the root ball has enough room so that I can then add the compost to the hole. I planted the mum just a little bit below soil level. This is ideal for this particular plant in Florida because that way the water can collect at the root ball and really saturate the soil well. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pull the corners of the fabric back over the plant, pat it down, and put the white rocks right back over the area where I peeled the wheat fabric back. Right, plant number 1 is in its new home. On to the next. Let's move on to the jungle fire. Now the steps are exactly the same. I'm going to remove the marble chip first. I've had the rock in this bed for about 5 years now, so it is not looking as pristine anymore. But if you take care, try to blow off any leaves through the years so nothing can settle between the rocks and decompose, then you can actually really make good use of this for several years. Again, you see I'm just cutting the X in there just like any other planting hole, folding back the corners. Make sure the planting hole is large enough so that you leave enough room to add any soil amendments. I'm using the rocks to just kind of hold it down. In the middle of that hole, you see a little stump from a annual that I had planted in the springtime that's now leaving. I am using again the bucket of the plant to just remove the soil that's there. I am literally tossing it because of all the mulch that you see there, that rubber mulch, that blue stuff. Yeah, I don't leave that. It's just not a good environment for a plant to thrive in. In between, what I like to do is take the root ball of the plant to just make sure that I am digging a deep enough and wide enough hole. So I just remove it from the nursery container. Again, the nursery container will then be used as a bucket again. Jungle fire does like to have moist soil, so I am actually going to plant it at soil level. So not too low, not too high, just right at the same level as the existing soil is. So jungle fire is a tropical plant, and as you know, tropical plants generally come from rainforest environments and have very nutritious soil. So in order to make it feel right at home, I'm adding some starter fertilizer to the hole. Next, I'm going to take some of the sandy soil that I collected from the bottom of the hole, which was a little bit better quality, to the compost and mix it around. This gives the compost just a little bit more of a well-draining quality that tropical plants really enjoy. When I put the plant into the ground, I make sure it's nice and even and has enough room around the root ball before I start adding my compost mix all around the root ball, so it has nutrients available right away. This plant was not very root bound, so I did not have to scruff up the root ball. Don't over compact the soil that you're adding now. You do want to push it down well so that you don't leave any air pockets that can later cause problems for the roots and root rot. But if you compact it too hard, then the roots are not going to have an easy time to get into the soil and establish. And the last step, just like before, I just flap the corners of the wheat fabric back over. They do cover the root ball, but it is well draining, so water can still get through. And after that, I just put all the rocks back over, and that will hold the wheat fabric in place. Now by now you can see that the jungle fire is a little bit stressed. It's definitely thirsty. You can see how the leaves are hanging down and they're kind of curling up a little bit. So that is a sign where it needs water, and it will get a good amount in just a few minutes. Before I put the waffle plant in the ground, I wanted to show you real quick these little roots that are on each planting knot, which you can cut off and propagate the plant from, and this is how they spread. I'm all done. All these plants will make great companion plants. Let me give you a little bit more information about each one. The jungle fire in most regions is an annual, but we can grow it here as a perennial, though they are hardy from zone 10 through 12, and I will have to protect it from lower temperatures, so I'll watch for the forecast. If it goes below 50, definitely 40, I will give it a little bit of protection. Both hemming waffle and jungle fire are naturally growing in a rainforest atmosphere in the lower layers, so they do like sun, but not to the extent where it burns the plant. They like moist soil that is well draining and has good amount of nutrition, so I will give it a little bit of liquid fertilizer. Garden mums are a perennial in our region because we don't have any frost most years, and they do survive the winter. If I cut them back after they bloom, they give me another flush of color in the springtime. I personally haven't had a lot of luck to get them to grow in my garden for longer than a year and a half or so, because the summers generally kill them. They just wilt because of the heat. They love sun, but they don't like necessarily the really dense heat we have here. Hopefully you liked coming along today, and I was able to inspire you to put some plants in the ground for fall. If you did, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe to the channel, and I see you around next time.